The next speaker is the Honorable Yvonne P. You have the floor, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Speaker, I rise to support the motion brought to this House by the Honorable Member, Ms. Gail Texiera, restoration of zero-rated item in value-added tax amendments of schedule, order number 18 of 2016. Mr. Speaker, I would particularly like to mention, as I listened to the presentation made by the Honorable Member on the government side, Honorable Minister Jaipal Sharma, I'm a bit confused. The Honorable Member referred to us on this side of the House as the small c. But I would like, and he says, who is misleading the Guyanese people? Now listening to the minister, we on this side, the small c as referred to, we would like to say that the big APNU, AFC government is misleading the people. Now, zero-rated items, items that are exempt. Good. If there is no difference, if no one has to pay VAT on items that are exempt, then why exempt them? Why not have a long list of zero-rated items? I've listened to the minister, and the minister admitted that there would be some payment of VAT, but this would go to the business people. The minister also said that he visited the market area and prices have already gone up. So, Mr. Speaker, if the business people have to pay VAT, then who will bear the burden?
Good question.
Of course, it would filter down to the consumer. So who is really misleading the Guyanese people? I wish that the Honorable Minister can say who really is misleading the Guyanese people. VAT will have to be paid on items that are on the exempt list. We can call it a hidden VAT. However, Mr. Speaker, looking at the long list of items, particularly school supplies, parents are worried. And as we speak here, Mr. Speaker, the ordinary people out in the streets, villages and communities are wondering what will happen to their school-age children. The number of things that are listed, important and essential things, lunch kit, lunch bags, and such likes. There is reason to worry. There is reason to worry. When we look at textbooks, dictionaries, and more so, Mr. Speaker, even religious books. So that tells me that also we will have to pay VAT on the Bible. Yes. But if that is not bad enough, Mr. Speaker, when we look and we see services, funeral service, and human remains. So if we pay VAT on the Bible, the funeral home would also increase their prices. So we'll have to pay extra money. And if that is not bad enough, Mr. Speaker, when you go to the Brickdam Cathedral and the parking meter, you also have to pay parking. So your funeral and the parking Where are we heading? Is this a good life for all Guyanese, Mr. Speaker? Hardship is everywhere. VAT and taxes have increased tremendously. We can hardly afford to live, and we cannot even afford to die. Mr. Speaker, as I continue to look at the list on the food items, again, the ordinary people are very much concerned. Listed on this list here are things like cassava bread, casrip, farine, uncooked boiled eggs. I'm not sure what is that because we use a lot of boiled eggs. It needs to be defined. Chicken, fish, pork, all these things are listed here, Mr. Speaker. So we need to know what is happening. We need to understand because the local people are very much pressured. We are under severe pressure, and here we see more pressure. But if the list is not good enough, let us continue to look on Section 5, which talks about sanitary napkins, Mr. Speaker. It gets worse. Toilet tissue, soap powder, laundry soap, matches, and all these things, the price will increase. It's no use fooling ourselves. The price will increase, Mr. Speaker. The Honorable Minister himself, again, I'm reminding him, he said he have already noticed in the market some price gone up. Mr. Speaker, I wish to remind the government side of the House. Their manifesto, a good life for all Guyanese, it's time for change. Page 39, it says the coalition will. I'm reading their manifesto. The coalition will commission a comprehensive review of the current taxation system and policies, including the value-added tax, to identify and recommend fiscal innovation that would not only address the adverse consequences of the current structure of taxation, including hardship effects, but would create incentives that would attract needed investment in critical sectors of our economy. Mr. Speaker, I think the honorable member on the government side of the House forget about their manifesto and all the commitments that they have made to the Guyanese people. I wish to remind you on the other side of the House, maybe you're so comfortable that you forget all the promises that you made to the people out there. However, the people still remember what were those promises. And here we see, instead of dealing with hardship, it's bringing more hardship on the people of this country. Mr. Speaker, I also wish to say, on August 18, 2015, again, this is what was said at the Ardachong Convention Center, and it talks about the Hinterland Poverty Reduction Program. This was the words of His Excellency. We are aware that social protection is in crisis. Too many young and very old persons are still classified as very poor with an expenditure level that is below what is required to purchase a daily minimum low-cost diet, unquote. If in 2015, August 18, 2015, this was said, and now with the introduction of all the tax and all that goes along with it, Mr. Speaker, how will the people continue to able to afford to buy the minimum low-cost meal? What we're seeing here is a daily struggle by the local people to put food on the table for their children. Yes. That is what we're seeing, Mr. Speaker. So where has all the promises gone? Mr. Speaker, if we continue in this way, we are afraid what will happen to the poor people of this country. I wish to say, though, Mr. Speaker, that we come to this honorable House, members on both sides of this House, and every session as we begin our discussion in this House, a prayer is being said. A prayer is being read by the clerk of the National Assembly. Mr. Speaker, allow me to read part of this prayer. And it begins like this. Almighty God, we who are here gathered together, do most humbly beseech thee to guide us in all our consultation, so that we may together build a land where knowledge is free, where the mind is without fear, and the head is held high, and where words come from the depths of truth. Wow. Mr. Speaker, I guess this prayer is just read every time, and none on the government side of the House ever take the time off to understand this prayer. I wish to say that we humbly beseech God to guide us in all our consultation. This is not so. We are making a mockery of this prayer. Is this the desire? I wish to remind that the people voted for us to be here. We have our obligation to the Guyanese population, and we are making a mockery of it. I wish to quote, so that together, not one-sided, not one way, not a bullish government, not a government who do not respect the people and the wishes of the people, together, both sides of the House means together. So that together we'll build a land where knowledge is free, where the mind is without fear. Mr. Speaker, as we speak here today, people are out there fearful. They fear for their lives. They fear that they would be unable to provide for their children. They're fear of losing their jobs. They're fearful of discrimination, and they're fearful of many things. As we stand here today, as we speak in this House here today, people are very fearful out there. People where the head is held high and where words come from the depths of truth. Mr. Speaker, the depths of truth. Are we truthful? Is the government truthful? Are you truthful today? Because if the government was truthful, they would have lived up to the promises that they made in this manifesto. Mr. Speaker, I therefore call on the government side of the House to withdraw. Just give me a second. Mr. Speaker, many would not understand what we're saying. They forget where they came from, or they have no feelings for the poor. We're, however, asking that the bill number 18 be withdrawn, and all items, sorry. Mr. Speaker, we, the honorable member on this side of the House, call on the government to repeal the value-added tax amendment schedule, order numbers 18 of 2016, made under the value-added tax. We further call on the government to reinstate and bring back into force Schedule 1 and 2 existing prior to the order of number 18 of 2016. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
I thank the honourable member for her statement.